Hi everyone, it is a beautiful day. I'm about to go for a bike ride along one of the rivers in my hometown, and I thought I'd take you along. I live in a rather densely populated town in East Flanders, Belgium, but still, I'm so lucky to be only a few minutes away from nature. It's where I go to unwind and recharge. I wrote a story snippet for us to enjoy as we travel along the river and enjoy the sights and sounds. The story's called Castle Warming. Fireflies lit the skies on that crisp, wondrous evening. Wonder came, as it's bound to do, in the form of flowing gowns and dark, gleaming swords, in hushed tones and knowing glances. While the falling of night blanketed the hills surrounding the castle, lords and ladies gathered at the gates. How they blended into the sky's lights as they ambled inside, each carrying the faintest of fickle candles. How their drapes and dresses followed in a cloud of lush, billowing fabric. Quiet fell beyond the castle walls. "My lord, my lady." She looked down at her slippers to avoid his beaming gaze. "My lady." Feigning coyness never was her strong suit. She clumsily suppressed a giggle. "Come, my lady." He caught her hand as she stood up. She caught his gaze in turn. They giggled. To the merry tunes of flutes and fiddles, they started their delicate dance. Turn the body, walk the arms. Turn the body, walk the arms. Their feet slowly swept away in the rhythm of the music. Her gown caressed the floor while it swayed from side to side. With an unspoken glee, a circle of nobles formed around them, dancing and clapping, murmuring perhaps sweet nothings in the tumble of music and pattering feet. The notes grew louder. The floor creaked heavier under the weight of whirling legs. But lord and lady only had eyes for each other. Such charm existed between them. It radiated across the room, that space now filled with song and dance. The echoes of music spilled from the gates when the children bounded outside. 2 steps at a time they flung into the garden, like leaves on a bristling tree. "Mine," she snapped. She furrowed her brow as she pulled the sword back towards her. With a gentle thud, the sword tip hit the stone floor beneath. She walked away, squinting, furrowing, dragging along her prized weapon. The splintery tip soon was covered in dirt by the damp flower beds. "Fine," he shrugged. In the center of the grounds, enshrined by a glowing mist of infinite flecks, a fire danced to now unheard melodies. It towered over the pair of children, who resumed their boisterous play. Their shrieks and giggles rose to meet the swaying specks of fire. Their laughter hung in the air, rowdily, until it was carried away by the occasional breeze. "Fear not, for I will slay the beast." By this time she was sweating and quite red in the face. He almost ran into her, turning his sprint into a full stop. "What?" "I will slay the beast," she repeated, in between gathering her breath. Surely she would pass out if she spoke any more. "The beast," she mimed, flailing her arm and piercing his gaze with her brilliant bright eyes. He just stood there, sheepishly. His gaze followed the tip of her sword. His pupils reflected the hot glow of the monster's exhale. "Oh." "Yes," she cried, as she caught his look of comprehension. "This dragon is terrorizing our land. It has eaten our sheep and stolen our..." Our gold! With a dramatic leap forward, she stabbed the air in front of her and started battling, strategically hopping from one leg to another in a twisting circle around the alleged monster. I will slay it! The raging beast stood high to meet the sky and strike her with a vicious blow. Any moment now, the battle could reach its inevitable end. But I like dragons. It took several seconds for the words to hit her, for them to burst her fiery trance. She sighed. And when she did, the fire behind her grew fainter, friendlier. I can just scare it off, she mumbled. There was a kind resignation in her voice. Right at that moment, a gust of wind dove into the castle grounds. With playful determination, it swirled around, pulling on trees, tickling flowers, and tangling the children's hair. A veil of darkness fell as the crackling fire dodged the lively winds, throwing its glowing light into neighboring gardens. As one, the children ducked and crouched to keep their balance. Seemingly minutes went by before the winds grew tired and moved on. They would resume their antics elsewhere. Only then did the pair arise, cautiously, looking around to where the gust had retreated over the castle walls. I'm cold, I went inside. She turned to look at him, but her eyes fell on a small patch of grass. He too now noticed the ground between them. Clearly visible in the blades of grass, wide and pot-bellied, with scheming scaly hands and black beady eyes, sat an enormously round, aggressively green, and unrelentingly stern toad. A slimy layer of muck from the nearby pond covered its pustular skin. "Ribbit," it declared proudly. They both screamed and tripped over themselves. 3 steps at a time now, the children threw themselves up the castle stairs. Their cries echoed far and wide, long after Toad Ribbit, unfazed, had hopped back into its dark, watery home. A wooden sword lay dormant in the flower beds. Night passed, day broke. Sunrise tore open the sky with its warm, orangey light. For a brief moment, the world basked in the memory of yesterday, the cool trickle of overnight dew. Yet, today stretched ahead with new, endless possibilities. Treasure hid in the trove of a new day. Ever so gently, coffee trickled into the coffee pot. The kitchen was filled with the comforting smells of hot drink and toasty bread. Sunlight crept through the windows, illuminating shadowy corners and reflecting off dust swaying lazily in the air. Barely visible under a sea of papers stood the kitchen table. Every so often, the coffee drip was punctuated by a sleepy grunt or the crunch of tasty bread. Crumbs covered the pieces of paper, only occasionally letting themselves be swatted away by a drowsy hand. One sheet teetered on the table edge. "Babe?" The crunching continued. "Babe? Sorry?" He perked up, creating the tiniest gust of air that finally made the paper tumble. Neither seemed to notice. "Who do you think this is?" A steaming mug in the opposite hand, she pointed at the drawing stuck to the fridge door. Her finger hovered over a figure in a narrow navy dress. "Is that blue or purple?" "It's blue," she confirmed without looking. "Looks purple from here." The dress was definitely blue. I guess I don't know either way. That's you in the middle, then me. Wait, someone with a tie, Dan? He pointed to the left of where her finger was, the tallest figure with stick hair and flashy tie. Oh, right. With raised interest, she swiveled her head to re-examine the drawing, which shifted slightly under the weight of her prodding finger. Dan wore a tie, she pondered, mostly to herself. He wears that thing all the time at work, only one who does. Anyway, my darling. From right to left, he caressed her waist on his way to the stairs, pausing at the bottom steps to hit her with a cheeky grin. My darling, she grinned back. Well, she made us all look very royal. Royal, yes, he confirmed by giving the picture one final look before he retreated into the stairwell. But late is the hour, time to wake the artist. That last bit she barely caught as he thundered up the stairs. At 7:42, Dad and Rosie started their morning walk to school, only a few minutes away. Dad tired but presentable, Rosie in spotless squeaky shoes, teal shirt and jeans, and carrying a light but still oversized backpack. The bag bounced to the bobbing beat of her cheery footsteps. That's a great drawing you did. Did you draw Auntie Grace in a blue dress, next to Uncle Dan? Yes, Auntie Grace and Uncle Dan with crowns, and you and Mommy and Henry and... So the conversation continued, down the narrow street, shifting from Rosie to Dad and back again. Rosie glanced over her shoulder at the house, now a distance away, which bathed in the shimmering glow of a brisk morning sun. A new house on a new street with new neighbors that had even newer kids. From where she was standing, halfway down that winding road, home looked like a place of wonder. Thank you for joining me on my journey along the river. I hope you enjoy this story and I wish you a wonderful day. Next week, I'll share a new story. Same time, different location. Hope to see you then. Bye for now.